The Ouija board. Since 1890, it has been used to communicate with spirits and other entities. Religious criticism has expressed beliefs that the Ouija board reveals information which should not be accessible to man, calling it a tool of Satan. Although it's famous worldwide, how many of you know the history of this mysterious board? The exact origin of the Ouija board is still under debate. Objects similar to the Ouija board date as far back as 551 BC to ancient China, where spirit boards were commonplace items used to communicate with the dead. It is claimed that Pythagoras used talking boards to enhance his studies and unearth revelations from the unseen world. In February 1891, advertisements began circulating in North America for Ouija, the wonderful talking board. It promised to answer questions about the past, present and future, by providing a link between the known and unknown. The spiritualism craze was well and truly underway by the late 19th century, and the Ouija board emerged as one of the most famous items associated with the paranormal. Feared by some and mocked by others, the Ouija board has a fascinating history and is still used and celebrated by its cult following to this day. Far from being widely feared, spiritualist practices were regarded as dark parlor games, with advocates including President Lincoln's wife Mary, who held seances in the White House after their 11-year-old son died of a fever. In late 19th century North America, the sorrowful aftermath of the American Civil War was keenly felt. More widely, life expectancy hovered at around 50 and childhood mortality remained high. The result was a generation who were desperate to connect with their lost friends and relatives, which made for fertile ground for spiritualism, and the opportunity to commune with the dead, to fully take hold. The emergence of an automatic writing form of spiritualism, whereby words are seemingly created by an external force, was not new. The first mention of Fuji or planchette writing dates to around 1100 AD in historical documents from the Song dynasty in China. Before the formal invention of the Ouija board, the use of talking boards was so common that by 1886 the news reported the phenomenon taking over spiritualist camps in Ohio. In 1890, Elijah Bond, a local attorney and entrepreneur in Baltimore, Maryland, decided to capitalize upon the craze, and so he formalized and patented a commercial talking board. The result was a board marked with the letters of the alphabet, as well as the numbers 0 to 9 and the words yes, no, and goodbye. It also came with a small heart-shaped planchette which was used in seances whenever a spirit wanted to write a message on the board. The story of the board's patent request still fascinates some to this day. Knowing that if they couldn't prove that the board worked, they wouldn't get their patent, Elijah Bond brought the indispensable Helen Peters, who was, Bond said, strong medium, who supplied the now instantly recognizable handle, to the patent office in Washington with him when he filed his application. There, the chief patent officer demanded a demonstration. If the board could accurately spell out his name, which was supposed to be unknown to Bond and Peters, he'd allow the patent application to proceed. They all sat down, communed with the spirits, and the planchette faithfully spelled out the patent officer's name. On February 10, 1891, a white-faced and visibly shaken patent officer awarded Bond a patent for his new toy or game. In November 1933, 15-year-old Mattie Turley committed the first murder to be blamed on the guidance of a Ouija board. While playing the parlor game with her mother Dorothea, the planchette spelled out instructions for Mattie to shoot her father, 48-year-old former U.S. naval officer Ernest Turley. With her mother's warning that the board could not be denied, Maddie obeyed and shot her father twice in the back, killing him. Incidentally, Dorothea told her daughter she wanted to marry a handsome cowboy, but poor Ernest stood in the way. She certainly lucked out when an otherworldly spirit from their seance demanded his execution, putting her back on the market. Unfortunately for her, authorities saw through the ruse and Dorothea was convicted with intent to commit murder. She only served 3 years for her crime. In December 1995, 17-year-old Londoner Michael McCallum and 16-year-old Pierre-Antoine lured 2 boys, Michael Earridge and Stephen Curran, both 15, back to McCallum's flat. Once inside McCallum's bedroom, which doubled as a satanic shrine, the 4 boys broke out the Ouija board to try and reach the Dark Lord himself. The group looked on in amazement as the planchette moved to spell 4 letters, Kill. Earridge made a break for it when it was clear this succinct message was being taken seriously, but Antoine stopped him at the door where McCallum stabbed him 11 times with a 12-inch combat knife. McCallum, believing he had just made a sacrifice to Satan, later accepted a plea of manslaughter due to diminished mental capacity. So, what did you think about the history of the Ouija board? Does anyone own and use one? Drop a comment and let me know, and as always, thank you for watching.